This 21-year-old runner from Africa just beat some of the fastest people on Earth. But his story isn't just about winning races, it's about coming back from the worst thing that could happen to him. In Zurich, Switzerland, something incredible just happened. The Diamond League Finals had everyone expecting Noah Lyles to cruise to his 6th trophy. The American sprinter was bouncing around the track, feeding off the crowd's energy like he always does. But in lane 7, a quiet young man from Botswana was getting ready to turn everything upside down. Letsile Tebogo doesn't talk much before races. While Lyles was showboating, Tebogo stood ice cold at the starting line. The gun fired, and Tebogo shot out of the blocks like lightning. He was ahead going into the home stretch, looking unstoppable. But then Lyles did what Lyles does best. He found another gear in the final meters. The crowd went wild as Lyles powered past Tebogo right at the finish line. 19.74 seconds for Lyles, 19.76 for Tebogo. Just 0.02 of a second separated them. After crossing the line, Lyles celebrated his record-breaking 6th Diamond League title, shouting about how he had 6 in a row, the most in track. But here's what makes this story so powerful. Just months ago, Tebogo almost quit running forever. His name is Letsile Tebogo, and he's from a small village called Kanye in Botswana. With only 47,000 people, it's the kind of place where Olympic dreams seem impossible. Tebogo didn't even start taking track seriously until he was 16. Most American kids start running competitively when they're 5 or 6 years old. Before track, Tebogo wanted to play professional soccer, but he kept getting benched and that frustrated him. His coach noticed he was naturally fast and suggested he try sprinting instead. Even then, Tebogo didn't have proper running shoes. He trained barefoot until he broke his country's 100-meter record. The person who believed in him most was his mother, Sarah. She worked as a secretary and used all her savings to support his dream. Tebogo often says their relationship was more like brother and sister than mother and son. She never missed his big races, sometimes even showing up unannounced to surprise him. In 2021, when Tebogo was just 18, he won his first major title at the World Under-20 Championships. His time of 10.11 seconds in the 100 meters was the second fastest ever by a teenager, behind only Usain Bolt. Suddenly, the track world was paying attention to this quiet kid from Africa. By 2023, Tebogo made history again. He became the first African man to win medals at the Senior World Championships, taking silver in the 100 meters and bronze in the 200 meters. His mother was in the stands in Budapest, crying tears of joy. After the race, Tebogo said, "My mom, she's just all smiles. The tears of joy were rolling down her cheeks. I was the happiest human being ever. Everything was going perfectly." Tebogo started 2024 by setting a world record in the 300 meters. He was getting faster and faster, building momentum for the Paris Olympics. Then, tragedy struck. In May 2024, Tebogo was competing in Los Angeles when he got a phone call that changed everything. His mother had died suddenly at just 44 years old after a brief illness. His coach, Kebonyemodisa Mosimanyane, had to deliver the devastating news. After the race, a few hours, we were having dinner, Mosimanyane recalled, and a call came in and they told us about it, and I had to tell him. We went and sat in his room. We just spent time together. We tried to recollect, but we couldn't. It was bad. Tebogo was completely broken. He thought about quitting track and field forever. "First of all, I felt like it's over for me. It's over for athletics," he admitted later. "I remember I stayed more than 3 weeks doing nothing, just home sleeping. I didn't have the motivation to even start training. The Olympics were just months away, but Tebogo couldn't bring himself to run. His teammates eventually came to his house and convinced him to just watch them practice. He sat in the stands wondering if his mother would want him to give up. I just stayed on the stands and watched, and I thought to myself, would she be happy if I left the sport? That question changed everything." Slowly, Tebogo started training again, but now he had a new motivation. He said, "The main goal for me is running in the name of my mom. That's where the dedication comes in." When the Paris Olympics arrived, everyone expected Noah Lyles to dominate the sprints. Lyles was the reigning world champion in the 200 meters and hadn't lost a race at that distance since 2021. He was loud, confident, and seemed unstoppable. In the 100-meter final, Tebogo ran a personal best of 9.86 seconds, but finished 6th in one of the closest races in Olympic history. The top 7 runners were separated by just 0.07 of a second. Most people thought that disappointment would hurt his confidence for the 200 meters. But Tebogo had something different inside him now. While Lyles was bouncing around before the 200-meter final, hyping up the crowd, Tebogo stood quietly focused. "Athletes are all different," he said. "There's the loud ones, there's also the quiet ones. so I prefer being silent and just let the legs do the talking. When the gun fired for the Olympic 200-meter final, Tebogo exploded out of the curve like he'd been shot from a cannon. His lead was so big that he had time to point to the Botswana flag on his chest while crossing the finish line. His time was 19.46 seconds, a new African record and the fifth fastest in history. Noah Lyles, the heavy favorite, could only manage third place. Later, it was revealed that Lyles had tested positive for COVID before the race, which explained his poor performance. But that didn't take anything away from Tebogo's incredible achievement. Tebogo had become the first African ever to win the Olympic 200 meters. The only other African to even medal in the event was Frankie Fredericks from Namibia, who won silver back in 1996. After the race, Tebogo held up his spikes, which had his mother's initials written on them. He had also painted his nails with the letters of her name. Back home in Botswana, the government declared a national holiday. They gave Tebogo's family 2 houses and several cattle as rewards. The quiet kid from a village of 47,000 people had become a national hero. But Tebogo wasn't done. He also helped Botswana win silver in the 4x 400-meter relay, running an incredible final leg. His split time of 43.04 seconds was among the fastest ever recorded. In just one Olympics, he had doubled his country's total medal count. The victory in Paris created an intense rivalry between Tebogo and Lyles. Their personalities couldn't be more different. Lyles is fire, feeding off energy and attention, while Tebogo is ice, calm, and focused. But their racing ability is almost perfectly matched. After losing to Tebogo in Paris, Lyles made it clear he wanted revenge. "I always say I'm a scary guy after I lose, because once I lose, I don't lay down," he told reporters. "I get back up and I come back stronger." The Zurich Diamond League finals became the perfect stage for their rematch. Lyles was going for his 6th Diamond League title, which would be a record for male track athletes. Tebogo was trying to win his first. The race lived up to all the hype. Tebogo took the early lead, but Lyles used his famous top-end speed to catch him in the final meters. The margin was tiny, just 0.02 of a second, but it was enough for Lyles to reclaim his throne. After the race, both sprinters showed respect for each other. Tebogo admitted, "This is not my true potential right now. I feel there is still a lot more in the tank that people need to see." He used the loss as motivation, saying he would give everything he had for the upcoming World Championships in Tokyo. Tebogo said this earlier this year. "Africans were known for the long distance, marathon, and quarter mile. I just wanted to change that role and make sure that Africans can be sprinters too." He's succeeded in that mission. Tebogo has become a role model for kids across Africa who now see sprinting as possible. Before races, he listens to traditional Botswanan music and talks about keeping his culture alive while competing on the world stage.
Shoot, it was a competitive race to say the least, but I mean, those are the best ones. And putting a win underneath my belt with great competition, that's really the confidence that you want to have going into a championships.
Noah Lyles shocked the track world again. At the Diamond League final, the American sprinter did something even Usain Bolt never did. Now people are asking, who is the king of sprinting today? Is Lyles making his own history, or still chasing Bolt's legend? On the 28th of August 2025, in Zurich, Switzerland, Lyles ran one of the best races of his life. He was in the men's 200 meters against Olympic champion Letsile Tebogo of Botswana. Tebogo came off the turn in front, but in the last few steps, Lyles sped up, leaned at the finish, and won in 19.74 seconds, just 0.02 seconds faster than Tebogo. This win was special. It gave Lyles his 6th straight Diamond League final title. No sprinter has done that. Lyles smiled and said, 6 in a row, the most in track. It feels pretty nice to have that. This was not just another race. It showed that Noah Lyles is building his own legacy. His story is not only about being fast, but about winning again and again without stopping. The Diamond League final is the biggest stage in track outside the Olympics and World Championships. This year's men's 200 meters was set up as a big rematch, Noah Lyles versus Letsile Tebogo. When the starter's gun went off, Tebogo jumped ahead. For a moment, it looked like he would win again, just like he did at the Paris Olympics, but Lyles stayed calm. He kept his form strong and waited for the final straight. With only 20 meters left, he caught up. At the finish line, both men leaned forward. The board showed the result, 19.74 for Lyles, 19.76 for Tebogo. For Lyles, the time gap didn't matter. What mattered was the record, 6 Diamond League finals in a row. That kind of control is rare in sprinting. Even Usain Bolt, the biggest name in track, never managed a streak like this. Zurich ended with Lyles lifting the diamond-shaped trophy high. He knew he had done something even the sport's greatest star never did. Bolt is still the fastest man ever. His 9.58 inches, the 119.19 inches, the 200 are untouched. He changed sprinting and made races into worldwide shows. But Bolt never focused on the Diamond League. He often skipped finals or saved himself for the Olympics and Worlds. That's why his amazing career never included a streak like Lyles's. Lyles, on the other hand, has owned it. Since 2017, he has lined up and delivered year after year. It doesn't make Lyles faster than Bolt, but it does give him a place in history that Bolt never claimed. Sprinting greatness isn't only about world records. It's also about showing up, staying consistent, and proving you can win under any conditions. That's why Zurich mattered. It gave Lyles a unique record of his own. For Noah Lyles, Zurich wasn't just about Bolt, it was also about Letsile Tebogo. At only 22, Tebogo is already Olympic champion. His smooth stride and fearless racing have made him the star of a new generation. Beating Lyles in Paris gave him instant credibility. Zurich was Lyles' answer. After the race, Tebogo admitted he saw a change. He has become humble since Paris, he said. You have to let the legs do the talking. Respectful words, but also a warning. Tebogo knows he can beat Lyles again, and the World Championships in Tokyo are only weeks away. Fans now see this rivalry as sprinting's heartbeat. Zurich may have gone to Lyles, but Tebogo is young, hungry, and waiting for the next chance. Comparisons with Bolt are inevitable, but Noah Lyles' legacy is different. Bolt had the records and Olympic dominance. Lyles has built his case through consistency. He owns the American record in the 200 at 19.31. He was the first American in 20 years to win Olympic gold in the 100. He pulled off the sprint treble at the 2023 World Championships, 100, 200, and 4x100, something only Bolt had done before. For American fans, Lyles is rewriting what greatness looks like. He doesn't have to break Bolt's records to leave a mark. He already has his own list of firsts. Zurich just made it longer. Noah Lyles isn't only about medals. He's also about personality. He has spoken openly about asthma, anxiety, and depression. He brings anime cards to races. He dances. He celebrates big. Some critics dislike it, but many fans see it as refreshing. That's why Zurich meant more. It wasn't only history, it was Lyles proving his way works. He can be bold, human, and still the man to beat. As he held the trophy in Zurich, it was clear, Lyles' story isn't just about speed, it's about resilience, individuality, and showing that greatness comes in many forms. While Noah Lyles stole the spotlight, Zurich was full of big performances. St. Lucia's Julian Alfred, the Olympic 100-meter champion, returned from injury with a blazing 10.76 win. It was her first race in over a month, and she proved she's ready for Tokyo. In the men's 100, Christian Coleman edged Akani Simbine and Akeem Blake in a thrilling finish, running 9.97. Zurich was supposed to be a stage for many stars, and it delivered. But still, the headlines belonged to one man, Noah Lyles. With Zurich over, all eyes now turn to Tokyo for the 2025 World Championships. Noah Lyles enters with momentum, but the field is stacked. Letsile Tebogo is hungry to defend his Olympic crown. Kishane Thompson, Christian Coleman, and Kenny Bednarek all lurk in the 100. In the 200, young stars are pushing harder than ever. For fans, the storyline is electric. Can he hold off Tebogo? Can he repeat the sprint treble he managed in 2023? Can he edge closer to Bolt's aura, if not his records? As the lights dimmed in Zurich, one thought echoed around the stadium. Bolt gave us world records. Lyles is giving us something different: longevity, resilience, and a rivalry worth watching. The sport of sprinting is alive, and it is Noah Lyles who keeps rewriting the book. Zurich 2025 will be remembered as Noah Lyles' night. A thrilling lean at the line, a 6th straight Diamond League final, and a record even Usain Bolt never touched. It doesn't mean Lyles has surpassed Bolt, but it does mean he has carved his own lane in history, one built on consistency and resilience. With Tokyo ahead, fans are asking, can he keep this streak going, defend his titles, and hold off rivals like Tebogo? Noah Lyles is no longer just chasing Bolt's shadow. He's building a legacy all his own.
Noah Lyles just did the unthinkable, beating the Olympic champ in the final seconds and making track history in the process. But what happened at the finish line left everyone in shock. Noah, an American sprint star who already held multiple world titles and had a personal best of 19.31 seconds in the 200 meters, had a unique target. He was going for a 6th straight Diamond League final win in the 200, a feat no other track athlete had ever pulled off. His rival across the field was none other than Olympic champion Letsile Tebogo, the young legend from Botswana who had stunned the world by beating Noah in the Olympic 200 final. Tonight's race wasn't just another contest. It was poised to be a showdown where past pain met burning ambition. This was more than a sprint. This was a mental battle. Everyone watching knew the storylines. They knew Lyles had been dominant in the Diamond League, but had fallen short when it mattered most at the Olympics. And Tebogo, he was the new face of speed, calm under pressure, with a stride so relaxed it looked effortless even at top speed. It was a clash of eras, of mentalities, of two runners with everything to prove. When the gun went off, Tebogo leapt ahead. His smooth, powerful stride carried him just ahead as they rounded the bend. It looked eerily similar to the Olympic replay. Tebogo out front, calm, collected. But Noah wasn't about to repeat the mistakes of the past. He wasn't panicking. He remembered every stride, every fall, every moment that led him here. The crowd got even louder as the runners reached the last part of the race. Then, like a flash, Noah started running even faster. With his body leaning forward and every part of him pushing hard, he focused completely on the finish line. Right at the last second, he passed Tebogo and won the race just barely by only 0.02 seconds, finishing in 19.74 seconds. 19.74, practically flying. And with that, Noah clinched his 6th consecutive Diamond League final victory in the 200. No athlete before had ever made it 6. Suddenly, the record book felt different because he was in it alone. But what made this race even more remarkable was what you couldn't see on the stopwatch. It wasn't just about the time, it was about timing. Noah timed that final push with the precision of a sniper. He didn't lead the whole way. He stalked his opponent, waited, and attacked at the exact moment when the world thought Tebogo had it sealed. His words after the race captured it perfectly. 6 in a row, the most in track. It is pretty nice to have that. I saw Letsile lean on the finish line, but I knew I won. I knew if I panicked, I was not going to win. If you are tight, you are done for. Those sentences weren't rehearsed. They were raw, honest, the kind of insight only someone who's sprinted that close to defeat and snatched victory might have. Tebogo's reaction was mature too. He said watching Lyles win, he realized how much Noah had grown in humility since the Olympic loss. You have to let the legs do the talk, he said. The more you talk and you cannot prove it means you only talk. You do not prove yourself. But for me, I do not talk. I just let the legs do its thing. That level of respect, that competitive poise, it's what makes this rivalry feel like more than just a contest. It's a chapter in sprinting history being written out loud. The stakes were high, not just for bragging rights. With the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo on the horizon, this was huge. For Noah, after a couple of 100-meter losses earlier that season, winning here was exactly the confidence boost he needed. It wasn't just another medal to hang on the wall, it was a statement, loud and clear, to every sprinter lining up in Tokyo, he's still the man to beat. And the atmosphere? It was absolutely electric. The Diamond League final, the premier stage in track and field, had drawn the world's biggest stars to Zurich's Letsile from August 27th to 28th. This wasn't your average end-of-season event. It felt more like a global summit of the sport's best. Athletes knew this was the last real test before Tokyo, and everyone showed up hungry. Lyles' win was just one of the headlines. Julian Alfred made a comeback splash, clocking 10.76 seconds to win the women's 100 and silence any doubts about her recovery. Javelin became a stage for pure drama. Julian Weber unleashed a world-leading 91.51 meters, pushing Olympic champ Neeraj Chopra into second. Christian Coleman ripped through the men's 100 in 9.97 seconds. Karsten Warholm and Femke Bol broke meet records in their hurdle events. Records were falling like dominoes. Even outside the sprints, the action was wild. A Dutch national record tumbled in the women's 1500. Britain's stars hit personal bests in the 800. This was the kind of night where even finishing second felt like a badge of honor. Champions weren't just winning, they were sharpening their swords before war.